record several times talking about how Nintendo is bigger than Grand Theft Auto 5 and how Nintendo is bigger than Call of Duty. And a lot of people have been sneering at me about this, but I do think this is a really good example of that. How Nintendo Switch software sales have surpassed the PS4. So, of course, the PS4 wasn't that successful. It didn't have that many games. But it coasted by on the success and relevancy of COD and Grand Theft Auto and the annual sports games. Okay, if you actually look at what actually sells on PlayStation hardware, it's always embarrassing. It's always Grand Theft Auto. It's always COD. It's always like some generic AAA sports slop. You know, you have stuff like that. And then the Nintendo consoles are where you see the actual, like, enthusiastic stuff. You see, like, Super Smash Bros. You see, like, games like Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. You see, like Splatoon's on there. Like, you get so much more variety and just, like, interesting experiences than anything on PlayStation, okay? And that's been true for a long time. You know, I looked at the PlayStation 3 bestsellers list recently and was shocked to see, like, Resident Evil Remake, you know, the GameCube game, was, like, number 11 on there. It just blows the mind at just how, like, reliant PlayStation was on, like, just poaching titles off of Nintendo hardware. So, again, that was the entire PlayStation brand for a very, very long time. But what we're seeing is, like, the slow, gradual decline of this formula, because the audience for PlayStation is so hyper-fixated on, like, flavor of the month slop that, like, those games will do, like, a couple of million units, everyone will forget about them, move on, while, like, Grand Theft Auto 5 and, like, COD are, like, the evergreen titles that are still relevant. Well, COD isn't really an evergreen title. What COD does is just release a new game every year, you know, get people on board every year, hoping it's different, and then just get disappointed. So, yeah, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, like, the big driving thing on it was Grand Theft Auto 5, okay? That was the reason to get the PS4. That was what most people played on it. That's all anybody cared about, was just cruising around, driving over pedestrians, okay? That was the Grand Theft Auto 5 experience. And we're seeing now that, like, you know, one of the narratives we've seen is this idea that Grand Theft Auto 5 is, like, the biggest entertainment and brand in gaming for this reason. You know, people brag about it selling 200 million units. People brag about, like, how much money it makes off of shark cards. People say it's, like, way bigger and better than anything Nintendo has. And that simply isn't true. And this is a very good demonstration of that fact. You know, if Grand Theft Auto 5, you know, the biggest game on, like, the most popular Nintendo competitor, like, if that can't compete with, like, all the other Nintendo games that are coming out, what you're going to see is that other Nintendo games are going to become more and more popular over time, while Grand Theft Auto, because of all the weight it has to carry, eventually is going to, like, fall by the wayside. Like, eventually, Grand Theft Auto 5 is just going to get drowned out by all of the great Nintendo games that have been coming out. And that's what's been happening over the past 10 years, okay? Is that people still go out and buy Grand Theft Auto. It's the only game they care about on PlayStation. It's the only thing they play. But all the while, you know, constantly, Nintendo's putting out new interesting things in different series. You know, new Pokemon games. You know, we got the Wonderful 101. We got, like, Bayonetta 2. We got Star Fox Zero. We got, like, you know, Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, Splatoon 1, 2, and 3, you know, have all come out before Grand Theft Auto 6 has. Like, you know, you look at, like, everything Nintendo is doing, and you see, like, the difference in quality in action. Where you see Nintendo get games out quicker, higher quality, and just more creative than anything Rockstar has ever done. And that's the problem with it, is that Rockstar, PlayStation, they have essentially become one-trick ponies. Like, they're not capable of innovating. They're not capable of taking risks. All they can do is just do the same thing over and over and over again, because that's what works. That's what works. That's what people want to see, is just, they just want Grand Theft Auto in the city, and they just want to be killing people, and that's all they care about. They don't actually want to engage with the game in any meaningful way. And that's the reality of what we're seeing in the industry. That's the reality of what we're seeing with the current state of gaming, and the current state of, like, these people, and the current state of, like, what's happening now. We're seeing people struggle to, like, justify Grand Theft Auto 6's extended development cycle. Because we had to wait 13 years for this. It's probably going to get delayed again. We're going to see a situation in which, like, you know, Nintendo's going to release like 10 to 20, like, you know, evergreen titles before, like, Grand Theft Auto 6 even comes out. So what's going to happen is that there are going to be dozens of great Nintendo exclusives before Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out. And, like, immediately after, more of them are going to come. So you're going to have the flash-in-the-pan success with Grand Theft Auto 6. It's going to drive unit sales for PlayStation, and then immediately it's going to get drowned out by, like, other Nintendo games. You know, that's the reality of it, is that Grand Theft Auto isn't going anywhere. It's not failing, but because it doesn't have a steady ecosystem of software supporting it, like, the games people are actually going to be playing and talking about are exclusively going to be Nintendo titles. And that is a big problem that people are going to have going forward. That is a big problem that we're going to have with gaming and with, like, hardware in general, is that this is the big delusional cope. You know, this is, like, the reality of, like, what we're seeing now. This is the reality of, like, the PlayStation and, like, the audience they've built up, is that they don't have any interest in branching out from games like Grand Theft Auto. Like, you know, maybe they'll play the military shooter game, or maybe they'll play the sports game, but, like, if it doesn't have a gun or a ball in it, like, it just has no appeal to the average Grand Theft Auto player, the average PlayStation audience member. So, like, what you're seeing is just, like, a game like Grand Theft Auto 5 can sell 200 million units. It can be the highest selling game ever. It can be a system seller for PlayStation. It can be this massive gargantuan hit that's never been seen before, and yet it's still going to lose out to the Nintendo Switch. Because at the end of the day, Nintendo owns Nintendo Switch. They make money off of every game sold on it, and every single game on it, including the Grand Theft Auto collection, is selling and making Nintendo money. So there's no possible way that Rockstar can beat Nintendo at this point. Like, PlayStation is not in a position where they can destroy Nintendo. All they have is an aging demographic of man-children, people like Video Game Lover 58, who just kind of sit in their parents' basements and just go on and on and on about, like, how Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be, like, the highest-selling game ever, but they just don't understand the reality of it. Is that when you take into consideration that Nintendo Switch outperformed the PlayStation 4, like, we're seeing, like, a slow shift towards Nintendo franchises being more beloved than Grand Theft Auto. Again, it's going to be more acceptable to like Nintendo in the future than it was traditionally, and that is something that the Grand Theft Auto audience simply isn't prepared to deal with.